Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and let's today continuation to the your DAX learning, right? So let's discuss about important topic called context transition, right? So in the last class, we discussed the last session that what is a row context and what is a filter context, right? So just give an overview of recap. So we have created a column here which is the profit column, which is nothing but my actual sales minus expected sales, and it is across all the rows. It works on the each and every row. It works as a row context. And when I am creating a measure, let's say like this, sum of actual store sales, and when I am putting that amount in a card visual, so it is giving me overall is 254 billion, but when I am across the region, I am saying it is segregating. So for the each region, it is getting filter. So that is your filter context. Right? Now today let's discuss about a context transition. So we will slowly go with the approach. So we will discuss first, take a column and understand what is context transition. Then we will move back to the measure where actually the context transition will be used across the industry, right? So what exactly that is, and we will see there. Okay. So basically, let's go to A, and if you see here, so right now the total actual sales 254 billion, and across region this is the one. And what is my total actual sales? It is nothing but the sum of this much, right? This is the measure I have created. Now suppose what I will do here in this case is I will go to my region table, okay, and here I will create a column, fine. So I will say sum of total actual sales, okay, and same whatever I have written in the measure I am just putting in the column, and expectation is it should give me for each region, it should give me the data for the actual sales, correct, whatever I am seeing. But the sad part is when I enter this one, it will give you the total sales which is coming here, which is 253 billion or 254 billion, instead of giving me this. This is a typical behavior when you are working on a columns, okay. What exactly it is happening here, okay. So as you know that the columns works on the row context, okay, it is never be the filter context. So what is happening is when I am talking about the sum of actual sales, right, it is not considering this as a filter. It is not considering Africa, America, Asia, Europe, Oceania, nothing is considering, okay. It is saying that overall give me the sum, and overall sum is 254 billion only, okay. So row context never penetrates through your filters. So what is happening in this case when I am talking about the model, right? So when I am talking about the region, I am creating a column here. This relationship is not at all flowing. The filter is not flowing in the sense not for the region Africa, neither for the America, neither for any region. It is going and it is calculating the stores. So it is giving me an overall picture. So this is one of the things. So it is working on, it is not working as a filter context, okay. So there are two ways to do that, okay. So if you wrap this inside a calculate function, okay, then what will automatically a filter calculate will apply, it will internally it will apply a filter context, okay, in the column. So calculate is helpful for to apply a filter context, okay. So here if I say now enter it, and if you see here, now I am getting the exact amount which I am getting in the measure also. See the same amount, and I am getting in the same column here. So now what happens is calculate just change the row context to the filter context, okay. So here it was a row context, till now this is a row context, okay. So it is not penetrating the filter. Now when I am using the calculate, the Africa is getting filter, and for that only the actual sales is coming. Same for the America, same for the Asia, same for the Europe, and same for the Oceania, right. So this is the example of a context transition, okay. So make sense. And instead of that I have already a measure, right, which I have used the sum of sales, If you use that, instead of doing this, let me comment this, and if I use directly the measure, which is the total actual sales, which is the same without calculate, okay, but it is sum of actual sales only. If I enter the data, will be remain same, because when the measure is getting created, it is internally is a calculate. So what I am writing here, it is exactly the same thing, but inside the measure I am not using any kind of calculate function here, but when it is executing internally, it is having a calculate inbuilt. Okay, that's why the filter context is going on and it is giving you the result. Make sense? So this is the one example of a context transition, but most probably will not use this in case of your what do you call it, in case of columns, but try to if you are trying to understand, this is a good example of a context transition. Okay, got it? Column section is done. This is your context transition. Make simple. Okay, now let's go to the measure section. Okay, so here let's take what I want here in this case is that, so I have across the region I have different total actual sales, right? So I need somehow the max of this total sales across the region, which is my maximum sales that I need. So somehow this is my maximum. Let me just put a format here, slightly little bit increase. So I think this is the one, Europe is the maximum the sale. Okay, so for that I will create a measure. Okay, so let's create a measure here. I'll say max total actual sales. Okay, and since I want to get the data from a particular table, right? So from the region table across the region, I want to get the maximum sales. So I can't do directly max, because max is just a normal, right? So if you see max, it will just column scalar value, but I want the data for across the rows, so I will use the max x. So here three things are there: table, expression, invariant is optional. Here the most important thing is the table. Table is, I will go to my region table, okay, because for that I want, and what I need, I want the total actual sales. For that I need the max, right? So I will say, let's take sum of my actual sales. This is the formula, okay, store actual sales. And if I use this formula, and let's take a card here, and let's drag the column where I stored that. Okay, here. So let's see, drag it. But you are getting that the total is the maximum. Okay, you are not getting the region wise which is the maximum. Why? Because of this. Let's go to here, because this is working on a row context. By default, whenever you are using any kind of iterated function, okay, sum x, max x, mean x, average x, concatenate x, count x, anything. So whatever the expression you are writing, right, if you are not giving any context, so default is, just remember this, default is row context. Okay, so if it is a row context, right, what will it will be give you the value as we saw that. Okay, so when I am talking about a column here, if you see here this column, when I am using only the normal sum of actual sales, what I am getting? I am getting the total amount, right? Same thing is happening in case of the measure also here. Okay, so it is giving me total. It is not getting filtered based on the region. It is giving me total. Okay, it is not getting filtered based on the region. Okay, so to convert this into row context to a filter context, two ways to do that. As you know that I can wrap it inside the calculate function. Then I will get my, you see the 59 millions, which is nothing but this one, the Europe one, which is the maximum, right? Or you can say directly, I can refer to, instead of doing all this thing, I can directly drag this to my total actual sales, which is a measure. Is all default it is there with the filter context, because inside that calculator is there. The output will remain same. So this is an example of a context transition. Any questions? I think it should be clear by this time, right? So when the row context will change to the filter context, because by default this will be all like that only. Okay, make sense? Good. Now let's see. I want an average of this guys. So let's try to understand this. Okay, let's try to understand the average of this total actual sales. Okay, so what I need to here is that let's take a new measure here. Another example, let's say average of total actual sales. I want the average of that. Okay, so if I say average X of let's take across all the region, because my filter context is there. Okay, then I will say here I will say my total actual sales. Okay, so here this is the one I can say. But if you use this formula, right, let's drag this column and see what is the result we are getting. You will get exactly the same value for this guy. This is also one of the use cases of this. If you see, my total actual sales for the region is this, average also the same across all the filter context is there. Why? Because of this. When I am talking about the region, right, so this is working as a filter context here. Okay, so when I am talking about the filter context which is running here, in this filter context, it is able to see only this value. Okay, when I am talking about the average of the same number, it will be same, because when I am at the filter context of Africa, right, I am not able to see the other regions, Africa, America, Asia, Europe and Oceania, because I am giving that. But this is working, this is already a filter context, but this is not a filter context. Is not able to see the result because the filter context is working, right? So here we need to remove the filter context here in this case. Okay, so I can use a all function here or all selected function. We will later in this series we will discuss complete thoroughly about the all selected and everything. But now if I see here all or all selected, anything is fine, but there is a difference. But let's go to the all selected here. So what will happen now? When I am talking about a context on Africa, right, I can see other data also. Okay, so that I can compare the average of this. So if I now enter this, if you see, this is my overall average. Okay, this is the overall average of this, which is across each and every filter context. So this is also an example of a context transition. Correct? Make sense here? Same, it will work for the rank also. I will go through the example of a different stories, but the ultimate thing is, so all the X functions, right, when it's in using, right, and by default it is row, and you can move it and you can change it to the filter context. Okay, and when the filter context is working, inside it, this is a calculate. So that is the thing, like when I am using a calculate function, inside that I want to change the row context to filter context as per my requirement, then I will use my context transition. That is the thing of this context. And let me know if you have any questions on this or you have any doubt on this part. Okay, you can try it out this model. I have given this data model to you, so you can practice along with this and try to focus on the context transition by giving different examples and all, and make sure that you understand properly, so that your DAX writing would be easy. Okay, do let me know if anything you want me to go ahead with this, anything you extra you want, or any example or in which we're not able to understand. Okay, do let me know, and thanks for watching, and please do subscribe to this channel. Thank you and have a nice day, guys.